Legacy? Jobs? The future? What's at stake for playoff bubble drivers? How's it going, y'all? My name is Eric. Welcome to Out of the Groove. Happy Friday, folks. Iowa Speedway this weekend, Xfinity Cup, the Cup race on USA Network. NBC is back for the final 14 races of the season. 4 regular season races to go before the 16-driver playoff field is set. Iowa, Watkins Glen, Richmond, and then Daytona looms for drivers like Denny Hamlin, Chase Elliott, Kyle Larson, Ryan Blaney. Making the playoffs is expected. Starting in February, these teams are already focused on winning multiple races, stacking up playoff points. They expect to contend in September, October, November. But for many other teams, just making the playoffs is a huge accomplishment. Playoff driver or playoff team is a sexy label. The top 16 get a nice bonus payout at the end of the year per the charter agreement. Just ask the Wood brothers, who made the playoffs last season, and then with Josh Berry, won early this season, are now a back-to-back playoff team. Bubba Wallace getting the number 23 car into the playoffs for the first time in franchise history was massive, a huge step towards changing his career narrative. So with that in mind, today I want to look at the current NASCAR Cup Series playoff bubble drivers, both above and below the cut line, and I want to talk about what it would mean for each of these teams, for these drivers' careers, if they were to qualify for this year's playoffs. We'll start with Tyler Reddick, who is 14th on the playoff grid, a nice comfy 138-point cushion. Making the playoffs keeps this train on the tracks. This has not been a smooth season for 23XI Racing. Tyler Reddick is winless. Rookie Riley Herbst has not been competitive. The lawsuit, of course, looms over their heads. Contracts could be impacted. Bubba Wallace winning the Brickyard 400 was awesome, and Tyler Reddick is likely to make the playoffs as well. So while the organization hasn't had the highs that they had last season, winning multiple races, regular season championship, if they get 2 cars into the playoffs for the first time in the organization's history, that would say a lot about this team's resiliency, considering all of the distractions they have faced this calendar year. Moving on to Alex Bowman, who finds himself 15th on the grid, plus 63 points. He's in a decent spot. Honestly, plus 63 sounds like he's in a great spot, but you have to remember, if one other driver from below the cut line wins one of these next few races, Bowman's battling Buescher for the final spot. He's only 21 points ahead of the 17 car. So this team cannot take it easy the next few weeks. Making the playoffs would give Alex Bowman more leverage entering next year's contract talks. I know if we look at the regular season standings, he's 9th, which is very good, but his teammates are 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and they all have wins. Although I will say, once the playoffs start, he could be a sneaky round of 8 contender considering how consistent he was last fall. Alex Bowman's contract with Hendrick Motorsports expires at the end of 2026. Ally is signed on through 2028, I believe. So maybe regardless of how the next 4 weeks or the next 14 weeks go, perhaps Bowman will sign a contract extension because I think the team likes him. He's obviously a solid driver. The sponsor has always supported him. But if Alex Bowman misses the playoffs this year, if he stumbles over the next few weeks, or if a couple new winners from below the cut line shock the system, I would consider blowing up the 48 car. Blake Harris out. I don't think he's lived up to expectations we put on him after he came over from Front Row, where he had success with Michael McDowell. I'd consider moving on from Alex Bowman, considering how many free agents are likely to be at least potentially available next summer. Look, I'll give Bowman credit. The 4th Hendrick car, as fans like to call it, used to be Casey Mears or Casey Kane at the end of his tenure. Dale Earnhardt Jr. had some rough years at the end of his career. Alex Bowman is running really well for the 4th Hendrick car. Again, he's top 10 in the regular season points. But if he misses the playoffs this year, remember, Bowman has only 1 victory in over 3 years now. I would expect Hendrick to consider other options. That's all I'm saying. You know, maybe there aren't better free agents available. Maybe Chastain signs long-term with Trackhouse. Maybe just hypothetically speaking, maybe Josh Berry is the only realistically attainable free agent next summer. And I know that's Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s guy, but personally, I'd probably take Bowman over Berry at this point. So I'm not saying that Bowman's entire career is on the line these next few weeks. I'm just saying you'd like to enter negotiations next year with a playoff berth, maybe a race win in your back pocket. That's what's at stake for Alex Bowman these next few weeks. Leverage. That's what's at stake. Chris Buescher, last driver above the cut line we're going to talk about, plus 42 points. Chris Buescher making the playoffs would ensure that RFK Racing stays on a positive trajectory. 2 years ago, remember, Chris Buescher burst onto the scene, you might say, won 3 races over the summer, made it to the round of 8, and then last year, both Buescher and Brad Keselowski got wins. And then in the offseason, they expanded, added a third car, signed on Kroger, a major new sponsor. Up. And then Brad Keselowski got off to a horrible 2025 start. Chris Buescher is still winless 22 races in and is on pace to lead the fewest laps since his first year with RFK Racing back in 2020. And while Ryan Preece has maybe met or even slightly exceeded preseason expectations, he's currently outside of the playoffs. It has not been a great year for Roush up to this point, but getting at least one of their cars into the playoffs would salvage what they can. Chris Buescher is widely considered one of the most underrated drivers in the NASCAR Cup Series. If he can lead this team into the playoffs, I think that would say a lot about his ability, his skill set, his value to that organization. Let's talk about his teammate. I just mentioned Ryan Preece, currently the first driver out of the playoffs, 42 points back. Ryan Preece making the playoffs would officially prove all his doubters wrong. It would prove that Ryan Preece was right to keep pursuing this NASCAR dream. He's talked about how he'd openly considered going back up to Connecticut, becoming a full-time career modified racer. But he stuck it out in NASCAR, and if he can make the playoffs this year, that would be a tremendous accomplishment. I felt like one of the few people this offseason who actually liked the Preece to RFK move. I was very excited about it, while a lot of fans, I saw y'all in the comment section, questioned it. Preece has never won a race. He's never made the playoffs. All he does is crash and fly through the air. I kept reminding y'all that up to this point, he'd only ever driven for JTG Doherty Racing in a second car and for Stewart Haas on its last legs. Ryan Preece had never been in a truly competitive Cup Series situation until this season. He's a proven modified winner. He's a proven Truck Series winner. He's a proven Xfinity Series winner. I think his shining moment in Cup could be coming sooner rather than later if he makes the playoffs this year. I'd argue he's already at least met expectations. Third car, expanded RFK team. If he makes the playoffs, he would undoubtedly have exceeded all preseason expectations. That would be huge if Preece can get the job done here over the next few weeks. Next is Kyle Busch, who is 81 points out. Preece maybe has a shot of pointing his way in, a long shot, sure, but a shot nonetheless. Kyle Busch has to win. He has to win one of these next 4 races. Let's start there. If he wins his way into the playoffs, it honestly might be a bigger deal for Richard Childress Racing. Kyle Busch enters next season also on an expiring contract. He will be one of those free agents we may talk about. He's nearing the end of his prime. He's towards the end of his Cup Series career at this point. And frankly, I don't think Busch really wants to be at RCR. I mean, shoot, last year he said that if Hendrick or Gibbs called, he'd pick up the phone. Now, I'm skeptical Gibbs or Hendrick will give him that phone call, but if RCR can show Kyle Busch over the next few weeks, hey, you can still win here. We are still a playoff organization. Maybe that will convince Kyle Busch that RCR is the kind of team he can finish his career at. So yeah, I think making the playoffs might actually be a bigger deal for RCR than Kyle Busch, but it would say a lot about Busch. I think it would add to his legacy in a pretty huge way. I know it would be one win when he has 63 other career wins, whatever the case may be, but this would probably be the worst equipment Kyle Busch has won in. Like when he was at Hendrick, even as a young driver, or especially when he was at Joe Gibbs Racing, he was always in top 15, usually top 10, top 5 equipment. But this RCR car is maybe top 15 on a good day. I mean, his teammate Austin Dillon has been 30th in points the past few years. So if Kyle Busch can win a race in the next few weeks, drag this team back into the playoffs, that would say a lot about him. I've given Denny Hamlin a lot of credit for how he's adapted to the next gen car, continued to maintain top tier success over the last few years. If Kyle Busch can show some of that versatility the rest of this year, I'll be very impressed. He might be able to beat the washed allegations that some fans, not me, other fans, like to throw around. Actually, I take that back. I did call him cooked earlier in the year. That's what's at stake for Kyle Busch. And we'll wrap up with the driver who ultimately replaced him at Joe Gibbs Racing, that being Ty Gibbs. He's 95 points out. Like Busch, he needs to win a race to make the playoffs. Winning a race is important to keeping Ty Gibbs on schedule. Ty Gibbs is in his third full-time Cup Series season. He has made over 100 starts now. Other top prospects like William Byron, Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, they won races in their third full-time season. Eric Jones, Austin Cindric won their first non-super speedway races in their third year. I don't know if Ty Gibbs has seen those stats specifically, but I know he's aware of how long it's taking him to win. And he's an emotional, impressionable young driver. We know he's used to dominating, winning at every level. The grind of the Cup Series can wear on anyone, especially if you're a young driver not living up to your own expectations. Winning the in-season challenge $1 million bonus last week was a nice boost. Certainly will give Ty Gibbs a little extra confidence, which is great. But winning a race would do so much more, in my opinion. And Joe Gibbs Racing is giving him everything they can. You notice Ty Gibbs' performance seemed to pick up around the same time that Briscoe won a race, meaning all of his teammates had wins, were locked in. Suddenly Chris Gabehart is dedicating his focus to Ty Gibbs. He's essentially Ty Gibbs' crew chief now. Ty Gibbs is in a good car, has great people around him. He has every opportunity to go win. If he can't win a race, forget about the next 4 weeks. If he can't win a race this season, it's going to be a long off season. Confidence, that's what's at stake, I think, for Ty Gibbs over these next few weeks, the next couple of months. But there we go. Just wanted to discuss some of these bubble drivers. Let me know down in the comment section below. Who has the most to gain by making the playoffs of this group? Who has the most to lose, perhaps by missing the playoffs? That might be the more interesting, the spicier conversation. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think. Fun discussion on a Friday. I appreciate y'all tuning in. A lot of breaking news from this past week. Head to my channel if you missed any of it. A lot of things worth talking about. I will see you later this weekend. Iowa Speedway, USA Network. Hope you'll tune in, and I hope you'll join us afterwards for our post-race conversation. Thanks for watching, folks. Have a great rest of your week, a great weekend, and I will see you again real soon.